Sorry, yeah, I'm standing up here because I'm going to tell you about not a fantasy, guys, but a potential nightmare scenario. And what I want to do is to raise a number of issues, what academics should be doing, because I think it's really important to understand what we're dealing with is far more complex than any other civilization has ever faced. I'm going to give sort of the doom, but I'm going to try and give you some hope coming out of it. Our mission in life as academics is to understand the reality that you people are dealing with. That's our task. And so what I'm sort of asking here, what Mark said, the key to understanding reality is the ability to ask the right question. The right question will provide the right solution. The wrong questions will not provide any solution. And what fascinates me today is how scientists, natural scientists, continually disagree over the facts about climate change. And that points to me a finger. And just, we're going to be dramatic here, guys. Is this the end of the Enlightenment? The Enlightenment that began and now is ending and is being attacked internally by science? And the proof or the lack of proof? What's gone wrong? Social media coming in, conspiracy theories. What I want to get across to you today, guys, what we're suffering from is not just climate change, it's an epistemological problem. The problem about how we understand reality, and that has incredible implications for how we engage with reality. And if we get it wrong, we're going to continually engage in reality in the same way we have done. We've made an entire mess of it. And what I want to get across to you today is climate change is only one issue among many issues. And for us academics, it's really important for us to understand and ask ourselves the question, do we really understand the complexity that we're dealing with? And just to tell you some of the things, some of my colleagues here that we've worked with here, we spent sort of like 30 years, sociologists talking to natural scientists. And you can say, and you get a really sort of good feeling. If you sit in the wrong room, you come with a solution. Not so at all, because the natural scientist sees the world completely different from the social scientist. So there's a tremendous problem in how do the social or sociology come into play with the natural science and the other way around. The natural science, when he looks or she looks through a microscope, will not see society or a bit of society operating. It doesn't operate like that. So it's a very, very complex problem. And what I've displayed here, guys, and I was thinking about this politically, is kicking the can down the road, or I think another version of this, certainly would be grand, the Irish version of that. That's the things. But what I want to suggest to you is reality keeps changing, and we have to, as academics, we are the only people in Ireland can raise these issues and deal with these issues. That's the importance of our ability to intellect. And because the media are not going to do it, the political system are not going to do it, if the communities can't, they don't have a lot, but we do. But we need to articulate the questions, and this is what I'm trying to raise today. So if this is slightly confusing, is exactly the way I planned it. Because what I want to suggest to you is that one of the problems is that the way these problems have been manifested, it's all discrete knowledges, discrete, broken up, or as isolationists. And that is a fundamental problem with science itself. And it's getting with articulating. It's got to do with linear cause and effect. When we look at climate change, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because there's so many different versions, because we're not dealing in climate with a thing. It's not an object that you can leave on the table, come back to it in a day or so. It's a process. It's a process that continually moves, and scientists have incredibly difficult in making sense of that. And one of the reasons is climate change is multi-causal and it is multi-consequential. So some of the issues that are being raised say are the problems, it's going to take 20 years for those issues to manifest themselves. And by the way, climate change isn't new, guys. If you're interested in tourism and landscape and heritage, just go out to the Cage of Fields, stand in the bog there and then realize Neolithic people engaged in climate change. They cut down the trees, the bog grows up, and if you want to go down to further south, go down to County Clare in the Burren, that was originally forest cut down. Climate change washed it out completely. And the most dramatic, of course, is the Middle East. It was entirely covered by forests. We cultivated the land, cut down the forest, desertification. We need to question our understanding of nature. One of the lessons that can be got from looking at climate change is how diverse it is, how interconnected from everything, from the soil to our health, to feminism, to the way we organize ourselves, to flooding and all that goes with that. What we need to do is to take climate change and don't isolate it as a particular issue. Take the fundamental problems and look at it with regard to the rest of nature. Nature is not thing-like, and we must move away from that. It's a process, a continuous process that interact with things. So, and this is what I was trying to get at earlier on. Everything is connected. That nature tour that I wanted in the room is, part of this. So we are really finding really difficult to overcome this, right? Use this example, specimen A. When you look at it as a thing, it feels like a thing, it's isolated. But actually, when you look from an ecological perspective, it's a process. And this is what we need to do. It comes from nature, it's cotton, grown from the soil, so the contents of the soil goes into the plant then is processed into cotton, then is processed into a bag, and this bag has a use value, and then later on it'll be thrown aside, it'll rot and go back into it. Do you see what I'm trying to get at here, guys? The way we're relating to reality sees it as a thing, like as a commodity, as a utility. We need to change this. And this is why genuine work is so important. It's connecting with all of these things across the board because they're all interconnected. Your bag is a process. So what I'm beginning to suggest here, guys, right? I have to get off the stage. I have 5 minutes to say is that we need to look at this, and it's academics, guys, it's us that need to talk, we need to understand the complexity of the narrative. The natural scientists and the social scientists, we just can't sit together in a room and hold hands and come up with something. There is a fundamental problem with our understanding of the world, because the world is complex and is continually changing. The solution cannot be science. Science can identify the problem. It's civil society that has to be progressive and take on and change. Science can't do it. It hasn't done it. Actually, even worse. Science is part of the problem. Science created the oil. Science is created, and we need to be asked those type of questions. So what I'm trying to do, as typical sociologists, never invite a sociologist to a party. They'll ruin it.